as the friend of Archie Goodwin, who was, we went to high school together here. We were in plays together on this stage, and we were in art class upstairs with Mrs. Bateholz, who was, as I always say, the new Rockney of art teachers. She was like a coach, and she pushed all of us to be the best we could. I think she kind of favored the boys. I didn't think that was too fair, but she really made us all be our best and do our best, and made us understand that art was a career that was a possibility for us. I went to New York in 1955 in September, and Archie went to OU. When I came back at Christmas, Archie and I got together, and he said, "I'm going back to New York with you when you go back to school." And he did it. He didn't go back to OU. He went to New York City, and he was determined to be a cartoonist. He worked his way through school. He worked mostly during the day, and he went to school at night for 3 or 4 years, graduated from cartoonists and illustrators, which changed the name to School of Visual Arts. It's now a very prominent, big school in New York. It's now a university. And but in those days, it was for cartoonists and illustrators. And I was studying illustration. Archie was studying cartooning, and he immediately got a job in publishing. After he got out of school, he went to work at Red Book magazine. He worked at Red Book for only a year or so, and then he got a job at Warren Comics, where he did everything. He was the only employee at Warren Comics, except for the publisher. He was the editor, he was the art director, he was the paste-up guy. He did the whole thing, and he did some of his most famous work for Creepy Comics and Eerie Comics, and those books are still sought after by collectors. He went on to go to write comic strips and comic books. He worked at Marvel for many years and became editor-in-chief for a while, and he left that job to go to DC Comics, where he wrote stories for Batman and all of the DC characters. He did a lot of graphic novels. There's a book that just came out last year called The Batman Stories by Archie Goodwin. He was one of the most influential writers and storytellers in comics. He focused more on editing and writing, and he was a great, great storyteller. And I just want to tell you one other story to tell you what kind of guy Archie was. When we were graduating, and we were over at Skelly Stadium for graduation ceremony, there were 600 people in our graduating class. We were all crowded underneath the grandstand, and it was time. We were waiting under there, we were getting impatient. Our graduation speaker was Bud Wilkinson, the football coach from OU. And everyone's getting, fed up waiting. And we're all in our robes, and we're we have to wait till the band starts, and we're going to go march across and be on the field and get our diplomas. Well, everyone got so impatient that Archie ran up to the top of the grandstand, and he yelled out across the stadium, "Strike up the band!" And sure enough, he did. And that's the reason I always knew that when Archie was there, the fun was about to start. And I'm so happy that he's being honored today. His son, Seth, is here to accept it. Thank you.
The late Archie Goodwin is the undisputed king of comic books, called the best-loved comic book editor ever. Archie was an American comic book writer, editor, and artist. Archie was born in Kansas City, Missouri, and lived in many small towns along the Kansas-Missouri border, including Coffeyville. But he considered Tulsa his hometown, where he spent his teen years at Will Rogers, hanging out with fellow art students Paul Davis and Russell Myers. Paul has created covers for national magazines and countless Broadway theater posters, and Myers draws the lovable comic strip witch Broomhilda. With Archie's induction, all three are now in the Will Rogers High School Hall of Fame. After graduation from high school, Archie moved to New York City to attend classes at what became the School of Visual Arts. He began as an artist, drawing cartoons for magazines, and as a freelance writer and occasional art assistant. His first editorial work was for Red Book magazine, both before and after his Army service. Archie's first prose story, written before he went into the Army, was published just after his discharge by Ellery Queen's Mystery Magazine, which warned him he could not use Archie Goodwin as a pen name because it was a Rex Stout character in the Nero Wolfe books. Archie's wife, Ann T. Murphy, said the magazine people were so delighted when he wrote back to say it was his real name that they used the anecdote as the introduction to the story, which ran in the July 1964 issue. Archie is best known for his Warren and Marvel comics. By 1964, he was the main scriptwriter for Warren's Creepy magazine. Much of his work there paid homage to the favorite comics of his youth. He soon became editor of the entire Warren line, Creepy, Eerie, and Blazing Combat. For Marvel, he set up the creator-owned Epic Comics and adapted Star Wars and its two sequels, as well as other science fiction films such as Close Encounters of the Third Kind and Blade Runner, into both comics and newspaper strips. The airport in fictional Gotham City, home of Batman, is named Goodwin, after Archie. During his career, Archie also worked for DC Comics and King Features Syndicate. His books are well known in the world of comic books. Archie was at the top of his industry, earning him many honors, including both the 1973 and 74 Shazam Awards for Best Writer in the Dramatic Division. He won the 1992 Bob Clampett Humanitarian Eisner Award and was named Best Editor by the Eisners in 1993. In 1998, he was entered into the Eisner Hall of Fame. In 2007, he was inducted into the Oklahoma Cartoonists Hall of Fame, located in the Toy and Action Figure Museum in Pauls Valley. While short in stature, Archie was a giant in his chosen field, a superhero among superheroes. His work has influenced youth and adult readers worldwide for many decades, and his work still lives. Archie died of cancer in 1998 after a 10-year battle. Accepting for his father, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Seth Goodwin.
Good morning. Good morning. I'll be very brief. I just mainly want to thank the foundation and everyone on the Hall of Fame committee and all of you for this tremendous honor. But most importantly, I really want to thank Mr. Paul Davis, who was just out here, for really pushing for the induction. Obviously, Archie can't be with us to accept this honor, but I know this for all the he was lucky enough to be a success and work in a field that meant a lot to him, that was his dream, and to really have a lot of honors in that field. But I'm sure if he were here, this would be probably one of the top honors he'd ever received. Whatever seed was planted made him such a wellspring of creativity and imagination was planted here at Will Rogers High School, right where you guys are sitting. So this really is a kind of homecoming for Archie.